how that, buddy. Hey, hey, how's it going?
Sean, those are awesome.
We're super pro right out of the gate.
Super pro. Right,
Eric's here from his new ski chalet in Tucson, Arizona.
Welcome.
Gorgeous piano back there.
Thank you. I'll do a song in the intermission.
Perfect.
That's great. And Armand's in the blurry zone down there.
In the blurry zone.
You started out actually okay, and then it went back blurry, but you're good.
I'm not supposed to be here. That's the sign right there. Like
Don't tell anybody.
Still in the internet. This is not even my house. It's I just got in here and said, let's go drink.
Yes. Well, welcome to the very first episode of Beats and Bourbon on Thursday nights. This is great. I suppose we'll go around. I mean, let's not take this too seriously. I'm John Kleinbell. I'm an independent producer and songwriter. Sonnet?
I'm Sonnet Simmons, also an independent singer and songwriter. Not a producer.
I'm Eric Campbell. I'm the Bourbon of Beats and Bourbon. So welcome to the show.
You're not here. You're not here to play, huh? You're here serious. I'm Germán Briseño, crazy person.
We need crazy people.
Exactly.
We need crazy people to have a good time.
We must all be crazy because music is what we do.
That is real talk.
Cheers to that, to the crazy.
I haven't even opened this thing. I got it at the CBS.
All right. I bought my stuff.
Look at that.
Ooh, I like that
Was
kind.
it Basil Hayden?
Oh, yeah, Basil Hayden. Nice.
That's funny. I can make it out even though it's like super blurry. It's like those like game shows where they like barely show you something. What is it? Take it out. Like, of course, like for me, it's like the alcohol. I can barely make out the shape, and I'm like, that's it.
So I've never had it. Had you had it? Like you both seem to know what's up.
It's kind of like if you like it's like a whistle pig. It kind of, I mean, it's in that class to me. Like it's like really smooth drinking. Sure. It's good stuff.
See, like I do feel like even like out of place in here because to be quite honest with you, I am not very literate when it comes to bourbon and the whiskeys. Actually, as much as I enjoy the adult beverage every now and then, I don't know. But
we can educate you every week. We can try a different one every week.
I like that.
And we don't discriminate with like alcohol here. It's like whatever you want to drink. It's like it's the Beats and Bourbon show, but you don't have to drink bourbon to hang. You know.
Well,
I'm drinking some moonshine tonight. So,
hey, what's up? We got some chats here too. Hey, Vessi, what's up, Mark? What's up,
Mark?
Sweet Sammy Beats? How's it going? First, we got a couple people on Twitch. What's up?
What up?
We got a like on Facebook. We have 8 people watching right now. This is crazy.
What's up, folks?
What's up, all Welcome. 8 folks? Appreciate you. We don't really know what we're doing, by the way, at all. Like we're not professionals.
No, by the way, nobody does. So by the way, that is life.
And never have. No.
Never.
What are you?
What's up, Cinder? How's it going?
Oh, Cinder. Cinder is a person there that is nice to talk to. I had the chance to chat with her back in Chicago, where we. I hope she didn't get sick. I hope you didn't get sick, Cinder. Let us know how you did it because half of the conference got the vid. I got.
Are you serious?
Too. Yes, it was glorious.
Nobody told me that. Wow.
Oh, really? Am I just like spilling the beans?
I guess you are, but that's what we're here for. That's the.
It was just like
tea is being spilled.
It was just like Durango Part 2 because in Durango also everybody like a gang of people like got the road.
I didn't know that. I never got sick at Durango, but oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the last 2 conferences that I've been have been hotspots for sure.
Wow, man. I'm going back to Durango in June.
Same.
Yeah, John, you're going
there,
right,
bro.
Yeah, but So the word is no hugging, no handshakes, no.
That's impossible. You're there to shake hands, literally to shake hands. Like I mean, what else you gonna do? You know what I mean? And yeah, it is. But it's what it is. You know what I mean? I guess it's the new world, and I guess with the strands being like kind of like so, it's a bad cold. Everybody seems to be reporting getting a bad cold and getting over it and move on with their lives. You know.
Yes, so it's a different story than it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. There's no a lot of crazy cases, not a lot of hospitalizations and deaths. So at the end, I'm just happy because it was my first time getting it. I finally got it. And I think that's why I got it, because I was like all like confident and like, it's okay. You can take your mask off. Let me have some of your cheese sticks. And that's what did it.
That's kind of how
your cheese stick.
I know exactly the moment when I got it too.
I'm worried about that, because that's exactly how I am. I've never had it, and I noticed like in the last couple of months, I'm totally much more relaxed. I go everywhere, wherever I want to go, and I'm like, I'm probably setting myself up, but it's all good. Whatever.
Well, have you had it, Sonnet or John?
I did.
Yeah.
I had it over the holidays.
Oh,
I had it right after New Year's Eve. It didn't even do anything cool. I don't have any story that like it was worth like catching it for or anything like that. I caught it, you know. My New Year's Eve was very.
You got it over with, so
I did.
Now, however long.
Allergies suck. We could talk about allergies. I don't know. Allergies is boring. Like let's talk about something. Let's bring up this. Let's just start with some important questions here. What is bourbon? You know,
please educate.
Let's start with the important questions. Who wants to start?
No, and how it differs from whiskey.
Well, technically, I'm drinking whiskey. I'm drinking Jameson, which is Irish whiskey.
Ooh, I like Jameson. That's nice.
Yeah, very smooth. I did a Disney cruise like years ago with some friends, and did on the cruise one of those like bourbon tasting where they talked you all through the history, and they had like lots of samples. They talked about the difference. I don't remember. I wish I would have wrote it down, because they talked about like the difference between like cognac, which is I believe from a region in France, I think, and like bourbon and cognac are all based on where they are. Like bourbon and whiskey, I feel like bourbon has to come from Kentucky, I believe. Otherwise, it might not be bourbon, or I could be wrong about that. But I think
Mark says all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. I thought it was the other way around. Wait, but not all whiskey is bourbon.
Yeah,
all
like
bourbon.
bourbon.
No,
right.
He's exactly right.
What I understood too, Mark. Yeah,
because ryes aren't bourbons, right?
Right.
Yeah, and
actually ryes are whiskey though.
Yeah, ryes are my favorite though. They're my favorite kind of whiskey. But
so
I'm drinking bourbon tonight. I'm going classy tonight. I'm going with the Jim Beam vanilla with some.
Nice.
I did get some classy cola. I tried these like Fever Tree things. This is ridiculous. Like it's like the mixer, like spending more on the mixer than you do on the actual liquor. That doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, well, that
seems crazy.
You gotta have that Jim Beam with something, otherwise
it's mixed up.
It'll yell at you or something the next day. You gotta dilute it with something. So I guess bourbon is a type of whiskey, the same way as Irish whiskey or Scotch whiskey or rye whiskey. They're all entering the line of whiskeys. And that's kind of the thing. It's just the region where bourbon is in the life. That's it. That's why bourbon is bourbon.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it's like what it's made in, like how it's distilled. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm with you, Cinder. Red wine all the way. Although I do love bourbon, I just don't really drink it anymore.
How are you guys seeing people talking to people?
Well, there's a chat comments.
Oh yeah, it's right. You go to the comments. We're figuring this out as we go. By the way, thanks for hanging with us. Cheers to everybody who's here. We appreciate you.
Mark's gonna go get a Maker's Mark.
Mark, I like Maker's Mark.
Get the Maker's Mark.
I don't think there's any kind of alcohol that's called John.
Johnny Walker.
Oh yeah,
Walker Red.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess I know what I gotta try next time. What's up, Jim? How's it going?
Jim Beam.
Yeah, got Jim Beam right here. My dad's name was Jim. So.
Oh really?
Yep. Everybody in my family is like classic Bible names. Sister Sarah, John. My grandma's name was Helen.
Yeah, but is there a Jim in the Bible?
Wrong names.
Huh?
Is there a Jim in the Bible?
James.
Oh, James. James is short for Jim. Is short for James.
Yep, gotcha. Sure is.
Thank you, Vessi. Awesome.
Hey, Vessi, thanks so much.
Thank you, Vessi.
Really appreciate you. And by the way,
maybe we should talk about like some. Oh, you go ahead. Did I just interrupt you?
No, I was just going to say, like, for anybody who's like on our different channels, we're currently broadcasting live to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. If you wouldn't mind taking a second to just subscribe, or wherever you're at, follow us on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, follow the page on Facebook. It really helps us out as we're building this thing. We're going to be showing up every Thursday night and doing this show, and we're very excited to just see where this goes. We have no idea where it's going to go. But you want to switch topics, Sonnet?
Is it too early to do that?
Nope.
I was gonna go into, like, all these people here, like our first show, something we've been talking about in our communities, the ideas of like bad songs, like where we've all come from in this journey of like, where did you start and what's your story of your worst song or your worst moment of playing a song and being like, getting that feedback that was like, that's not good. And you like, just to kind of like make it real and human for for all of the people around us, but also like bring it back to the human level of our stories, but not like our success stories, but like the rubble on the bottom. Stories. Like how you like cut your teeth in this industry.
I don't know. I don't even know how.
Any like bad stories to share?
I mean, I have like
Hard
tapes.
stories.
My sister might be tuning in, and if you're tuning in, please don't take this as an invitation, Sarah. But if you still have those tapes, those cassettes that I recorded back when I was in college, I would appreciate if you just like threw them right in the trash. We joke all the time. She's gonna like use those to blackmail me at some point. I don't know. It's just like you start somewhere, and I think it's like sometimes you think you're a lot better than you are, and you don't really have any like. Wasn't surrounded with people that were making music, so I was just kind of like creating in a vacuum in a way. I don't know. For me, that was the beginning of my story with like starting to make music. Was just like kind of creating in a vacuum, which was cool. Had its like cool things. I've definitely explored my own unique way of expressing things, but I also had no grounding in like what was actually needed in the music industry or what people liked and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And I mean, I think that it's like those humbling moments where you're like, oh, I still like, you have so much to learn, but you're so hungry and ready to learn it, and just like how much you've learned and how we continue to learn on this journey. Like we're not just all, nobody's an expert because it's a creative field. So we get to like continue to grow and we get to continue to expand upon our skill set. So kind of like I am also searching for my story. Like what would I say are just those kind of like stumbling blocks in the beginning where you're not quite getting it right, or you're playing your songs for people. I think for me, it was like, I was just looking for someone to say like, I'll discover you and make you famous. So I would like sing all these other people's songs and like take the subway out to the middle of nowhere so I could work with somebody who was going to write this song for me, and was never like, I'm going to write my own songs. Like it took me forever to be like, I'm going to write my own songs and do my own thing because nobody else can say what I need to actually say. And once you start that journey, things started clicking. But
Sana,
a lot of bad songs.
Are you in Los Angeles? Is that where?
Oh yeah, I am. The subway was when I was living in New York, but
okay.
Yeah.
So which is where you're from?
I'm from LA, but I moved to New York after college for a little while and failed miserably there.
Did you go there for music? So you left LA to go to New York for music, or?
I followed a boy over there and decided that's where also the music, I'd find like more connections, but all my music connections were here. So I ended up coming back. But yeah, I went over there, struggled for quite a while, trying to find, my way and thinking, somebody was going to make you famous. Somebody was going to do the work for you. And you realize like, you got to step in and do the work for yourself. Mm-hmm. And like, I feel like we've all got different places that we started from, but I feel like that's kind of where my humbling moments were.
Yeah. I've always like been a musician. I've always created music and had a lot of rejections and stuff along the way. But I think the humbling thing for me was singing. It's taken me a long time to get comfortable singing my own songs. It was not one of the instruments that I was always comfortable with. And so I would always have other singers demoing my songs. And as a songwriter, would write the songs and then have other singers demo them. And I did that for years, even if I was trying to place originally my first path was trying to place music with other artists. And so, wanted to get like some major placements. And I think the effort that I was taking, one, just trying to always get singers into the studio, trying to coordinate schedules, and trying to get the vision of how the song is, my vocal production skills there. It made me want to improve my own skills, because I feel like, I'm a pretty much everyday writer. I record and write every day. And so I kind of like, if I just keep working on my vocals, I could do my own demos. I can do my own things. And it's probably the hardest instrument. All my other instruments came pretty easy for me to learn, and that's probably the hardest one. And still work on it, but I got, I got a lot of, both from ridicule along the way from people who have tapes of my early demos that, like John, I'm like, never play that for anybody, never, never share it. So I got those stories.
Yeah, I mean, that's so vulnerable to learn how to share your voice in like a physical form. Yeah, I think I'm kind of I was like a opera and jazz voice major, so that's like all I did. But the writing side came later for me. Oppositely.
Herman?
Nice. My humbling moment. One that comes to mind, like very early on. It was, I guess, it was senior year in high school, right? And at that point, it's when you're trying to figure out what you're gonna do or whatnot. And I was convinced that I was gonna go to music school, right? Like I was, even though everybody told me that it was a big mistake, that you need to study something for real, blah blah blah, the whole situation, right? So the classes in senior year of high school, when the school that I went to in Mexico, they would make plays, right? Each one of the classes, there were 4 classes across the last the seniors, right? And they would make plays. And one of the classes made a play, and they wrote a song. A friend of mine wrote a song, and they asked me to come and join and play the song with them. And we practiced it, and we practiced it, and we played it. We played it before the performance was going to happen. Before the play, we played it for the principal of the school, right? And he was like, "This is awesome. This is the best song. You guys are gonna play it at the beginning and then at the end again. People are gonna love it, and all this." And we're all jazzed, right? So for whatever reason, we decided that because now there's gonna be like girls singing the song too, and like, so let's change the key, right? At this point in my musical development, I wasn't very, very sure about the transposition process. And I got all confused because I was, I tried to write him down instead of just like think about it, whatever. I fucked it up. Everybody, we got on stage.
Oh no!
Sorry, excuse me. We got on stage and we just, it was a train wreck. It was a train wreck. Like somebody played the wrong things. The girls didn't know when to sing. The other guy like was all shy and stopped singing. The guy in the piano lost count. I lost the chords. And mind you, like this is in front of like about 600 kids. Like they're all there. Like all of the rest of the classes. My electric guitar is plugged in straight into the PA of the whole auditorium. Like, so it's the loudest thing over everything, and I'm just like butchering it to the point that middle of the performance I have to stop playing because I don't know what I'm doing, and I try to get people to clap or something. Like it was without a doubt like the biggest train wreck ever that I've experienced.
Gosh.
To the point where I said after that night, I said, I can't go into music because this is too much. And I went and wasted a year studying something else, only to later on come back to drop out of college and play in a band. And, like, I mean, only to come back around to it a year later. But that and all the negative, not negative, but, there wasn't a lot of support to the idea of being a musician. So that kind of paired up. And that really like detoured me for like about a year. But in the upside of it, later on when I started performing, once I moved to the States and I started performing with the band, I mean, I was already performing in Mexico, and I mean, there was never anything worse than that. So I could be in whatever show, in whatever situation, and it just sort of like it just doesn't get any worse than that. So like I could try anything, and it just sort of kind of like at the end, I feel like it gave me a chance to really let go of the fear at times at being on stage, and sometimes too, not very, sometimes you gotta tone it down a little bit. But yeah, that was my my horror story. Look at that. That's my trauma. I told you I was out of
it.
Well, that was pretty funny.
That's so relatable.
Well, Herman, you must have had at least like 10 or 15 seconds where you were just like, yeah, and you just thought you were crushing it, like you thought you were killing it, or were you panicking the whole time?
From the start, I wasn't used to the sound from the start. When I started playing, and the guitar like started blasting in the PA of the auditorium, I'm like, this is too loud, so it feels like all. And then the chords started like disappearing from my mind. It was beginning to end a grueling experience.
It was like some bad scene from like a Tim Burton movie where like everything started to like kind of warp and
and then you have to sit like after we finished playing and it was like a total train wreck. Like the principal was like, no, you guys are not playing it at the end of the play either, and you have to sit down and watch the play like while everybody is just like you could see them laughing as we are like crashing and burning. You could see them going like this, like what is happening? It was very visceral.
I don't know. I look back at all the times where I was just like so bad. Just like going to open mics and playing songs that I'd just written and like just kind of bombing, forgetting lyrics, like, all that stuff. I look back at that stuff and I just laugh now. It's just funny. I don't know. It's like,
but it's where you cut your teeth, it's like, it's really like what gives you the great ability to shut up and like make mistakes later, like Herman was saying.
Yeah, that's really I think that one stayed with me for forever. And every time I was like on stage on anything, I mean, I guess the biggest stage that I played probably is the Staples Center and the Anaheim convention one, like there are like a lot of people, and my mind always went back to that. I'm like, it can't be any worse. Like it can't be, it just can't be any worse than that. You already have your trauma there. Okay? Just stick to that. And yeah, it you have to, I think, in order to create and do this freely. And that's the thing, you have to not really care what side of the Dunning-Kruger you are. You just have to do it, you just have to commit.
Yeah. Well, I've got a bunch of topics. Should we jump into one of the random topics we put together? Well, this is great. Like, why don't we jump in? Actually, I'm curious what y'all think about this. Like, because everybody's got opinions about Slate microphones. Every like couple of months, you see them selling I think it's the ML1 for $499. It's currently on sale for $499. We're not endorsed by Slate or anything like that. We're not going to drop a link into the chat or anything like that. But it's something where I see it every time, and then I've had a couple times where I'm like, oh, that might be pretty cool. And then I don't know. I personally think I'm like, I buy this microphone, I might like it, I might not like it, and if I don't like it, it's not going to appreciate in value whatsoever because it's like you plug it in with a USB.
You plug it in with a USB?
Right? You don't plug this thing in with it. It doesn't actually like create an analog signal from my understanding with it, because everything is like, it's all digital processing.
Well, go ahead, bro.
I haven't used it. And so I've been actually curious about it, but I did not. It doesn't plug into your still look like the condenser. Your
can't use outboard. You can't use outboard gear with it, from my understanding. I could be totally wrong, but I think because everything with it is an emulation, including the microphone itself, it can't be. It can't actually have like an analog signal.
No, I think it goes to a box, and then from the box, you're talking about the one that models, right? Different microphones.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. A friend had it in his studio. It goes straight first, I think, into a box of its own, and then from there, it has to go in, and the emulations can also work as plugins afterwards. Like you can actually insert it in tracks and change the microphone as you go. I use something similar. I use the Townsend Sound Labs that works with the Universal Audio environment, and I love the thing. Yeah, it's I mean, I think is where it's at. I'm not, for whatever reason, I have never really jived with Slate stuff like a lot. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is. I just don't, I don't connect with Slate, except for the Fresh Air. That's the only thing I use of them. That one, because it's pretty nice. But yeah, I think emulations is where it's going. I mean, I think what do you want in 10 years besides even Pro Tools probably mixing the song for you? I don't know.
Right.
We're maybe heading that way. I don't know with the technology and everything. I just I don't really know anything about how the slates work. I wonder if anybody in the chat knows anything about slates. Is it like, I've never used one. I've never really used an emulation. I just kind of question. I'm like, oh, if I'm going to spend like $500 or more on like a microphone, would I rather have something that appreciates in value over time or doesn't lose it? Or if, like, in 5 or 10 years, it's, maybe the software, there's a new version and they don't quite support the old one as much and all that stuff. And I kind of think about that. Anybody in the chat know anything about slates? Anybody have experience? If not, we can just keep moving on. Yeah, slate. Where's the rim shot?
So it does say on the on its website that you use an XLR cable to connect the ML1 to something called the VMS1, which I guess is what Herman was talking about.
Okay.
Box, and that it does require phantom power to operate, but so it sounds like it connects kind of like a regular.
Interesting.
There's another vote for the Townsend Labs in the chat. Yeah, that's what's up. That's the last mic that you'll ever need, John.
Townsend Labs with Apollo. Okay.
So you can go from the box that it's plugged into, which provides phantom power to the mic. You can go from the box. It sends an analog signal out, so you could technically throw an analog compressor on it in between before it goes into your before it goes into your converter.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The guy that I used to work with, like, plugged it into an Avalon, and then from there it went.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Slate.
I just want to say, for the record, I may be the minority technically on this issue, but I've always had a condenser mic that goes directly into whatever software I'm working with. I mean, I do use a interface, so I have, like, right now I just have this SSL2 Plus. Before that, for years, I just had the little red box from, I can't remember what company that is, little audio interface.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I've never,
Scarlett?
Yeah. So I had Scarlett, but I've never had any external compressor or preamp, or, like, in all the years all the songs that I've made, I've never had any. All vocals have been just a microphone. I mean, pretty good, decent microphones, but microphones going directly into Ableton or Pro Tools or whatever.
I like how you have a chaotic eyeball that appears and disappears in your living room.
That's my Yoda chaotica.
When it comes out, it's like,
like in there in the corner,
just right now.
What are you ready to dispense some advice?
I just kind of clap and it shows up, and then
That's so funny.
That's awesome.
What do y'all think about co-writing disputes?
I'm always writing
disputes. Tell us a
story.
story.
Like what? In terms of what? Like what?
I feel like you have a specific story, John. I want to hear
it.
So I saw somebody out in the community was posting some article about, like, well, this is how I handle songwriting disputes, and it made me think about, like, when I was first starting to, like, co-write officially, and I kind of knew what I was doing from a songwriting perspective, and was kind of not really a producer at the time, but I just remember working on a song, person brought an idea in, we worked on it, the idea was like, we're going to split everything 50-50. The conversation was had ahead of time, which is what I was told is good to like, figure that all out ahead of time. And then we write the song. Next day I get an email from them saying like, well, I think I maybe contributed a little bit more to this line. And therefore I think I should get like 7% more of this. And then you can take 2% more of this because you did this. And I was like, what is this? Like people are crazy. Like, and that was probably the only time where I was just like, I was good. I just like totally pulled the plug on the whole thing. I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. Like,
That's only going to become more complicated.
It's funny. Like co-writing disputes. I mean, I really haven't had any like to speak of. I mean, are there really co-writing disputes? I think co-writing disputes, like they just happen like after when money is involved. I think that's the only time a co-writing dispute really even happens. Is it? Like,
I've seen some in the outside of sync just in Atlanta in the kind of major industry side, some really big ones like big hit records where nobody got paid because one writer refused to sign off on everything, and
I've
lawsuits.
heard those stories. Yeah,
I mean and I've known some of the people involved in them. But in the sync side, I've not experienced. Let me think about that as I'm saying it. I really haven't had any negative side. I think sync, at least within sync, the people that I've dealt with, they're a little more keen to do even splits, whereas like Atlanta is, from what I understand, LA is kind of similar. It's like people will nitpick over, half a percentage point, or how many lines did you do? I worked on the chorus versus I worked on the verse, and they will. I've had those arguments in Atlanta when I was going for major artist placements. Like I lost a friend over a split on a song, not because of how we wrote the song, but because we wrote the song, but she was also the relationship with the person that she was pitching it to. So she wanted more of the song based on writing as well as pitching, which normally is even when I was doing that, that's actually normally okay. Like I've done a number of deals like that. Like if you're introducing somebody, you can get something, but we could not come to an agreement on what was like actually fair or representative, just from that instance. And I've had a couple of those. I've seen that situation on the artist side, not so much on the sync side.
I've heard crazy stories, but thankfully, no, I have never had to deal with people that like, I mean, 5%, 8%, 10%, and like all this nonsense. Like, I'm more likely than not, I will just be like, just take everything. I don't care. Just like,
how about? So not so much like. Outside the session, or like, even like in between, like, or before you get started, but how about like inside the session when you're writing the song? I think co-writing disputes can kind of like occur while you're writing something sometimes too, where it's just like people aren't like, you just aren't jiving with somebody. Like there's probably been more situations with all of us where that's happened, right?
For sure.
My worst co-writing collabs a little earlier on in my career. I think it was an organization I was with in Atlanta would put some of us together, and I think I was in a room with like 2 or 3 other people, and one person was just really quick to be like no, like if you throw out an idea and they're like, no, that doesn't work, and just like kind of throw that out into the room, and like the energy that like, I mean, we all deal with rejection, but that energy of, no, I don't like that idea. And then just the dead silence after that, like that was like the worst writing. And I can't remember, there's a guy who wrote a songwriting, but I can't think of his name. He works at Berkeley, but I didn't agree with it. There's a lot of things in his book I don't agree with, but one of the things at the end of his book, he has a method for collaboration. And in it just talks about how kind of like never say no, never like, reject anything. If somebody puts out an idea, If if you're not like it, throw out a different idea, and just kind of let the silence and throwing out different ideas until somebody grasps on something, but not like, try to avoid the just Xing anything or rejecting an idea and keeping the energy going. So I try to do that when I write now.
And nobody wants to feel like you're just kind of like you're sitting there with a lightsaber, just like swatting away everything that they come up with. It's like that's no fun.
Yeah,
that doesn't work in any relationship, really. Like you're just like you're not hearing me. There's no space here for me.
I think there's different balances of relationships that you get depending on who you work, who you work with. I think when it comes to maybe the person that's more experienced, or if actually you're being hired to do a certain job, then inevitably you end up, I feel like I've been in those two positions, in the position where I have to be like, no, dude, no, we're not gonna put a 6x4 bar right here. No, we're not gonna change the key, that type of thing, And I've been in the situation where like, well, what about this line? No, dude, shut up. Well, what about this line? No, and it's because I'm like working with somebody that I defer there's always going to be kind of like a lead, I suppose, depending on the chemistry of the and even on the piece itself, I think. And I feel like it's important to kind of like be able to have that flexibility to take the backseat and be like, all right, let's see where you can take me, or sometimes be assertive. But it really comes down to the balance, because you overdo it either way. You lose interest or you suffocate it, what I mean? So
Kip Johnson on YouTube commented, Pat Pattison, that's the author for the book I was referring to. So what do you are you guys do y'all embrace like new collaborations, or are you like hesitant to bring in new people because of that, and you kind of rather work with people that you kind of know how sync works or how splits work, or that you've worked with before? How open are you to just somebody brand new because of that?
I just think that's how once you start to understand that stuff, and you have people that you run with, and then cool stuff happens, you want to run it back with them, and you already know that they know what's going on. Now I finally like understand all the people that were like, kind of like hesitant to maybe work with me in the past, where I didn't really like understand the business, and my songwriting chops weren't up to like the bar that they were at or whatever. It's just like, I think with everybody, it's like if you get better, it just makes it harder. But I'm always open to like working with cool people. It's like, but it's like also a time thing. It's like, can you work with everybody? Is that possible to be super person? I don't know. I don't think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's like knowing a little bit of background. It's like, is this going to be a compatible experience? Is this worth both of our times together? And then also, of course, it's like, is this a yes or a no? Do I have the time for it? Do I have the time to follow up and do revisions on it? Do I have the time to like get this to a producer and really follow through? So all of those, when you're bringing somebody new into a co-write, you kind of think ahead. Like how much time do you have for a new one? I always like writing with new people, but I think you have to be I have to be selective in terms of time, because my time is so limited. So I try to know a little bit about the people that I co-write with before I say yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. New collabs.
Look at that.
Anybody else want to talk about new collabs, like new stuff that you work on, like balancing it out, I think it is fun. Like, I think there's like a fun thing to it's like exploring any new friendship, for those of us who are like not in relationships, exploring a new relationship. It's like a new creative process. It's like, it's fun to like explore creativity with new people.
Well, John and I, we just did our first. I mean, we've known each other for over a year. What's it been? At least 3 or 4 years now.
Crazy.
And we just did our first collaboration when I came to Nashville.
Wait, which one? Did I hear it? Did I hear that one?
No, I don't. Well, I don't think so.
I don't think we shared it with anybody, really.
No, it's not even mixed yet. But it was really cool. Like, and any interesting thing is that we've talked on the phone and on Zoom many times about, hey, we should try and do something, and both of our schedules have been, or we've always been working on so many things, and so coming to Nashville was the perfect time to like jump in and write. But it goes to say a couple of things. One, as long as we've known each other, like, Herman and I have only worked on one, maybe two songs.
And it was like,
do you
have time to work on it right now? Right.
I mean, yeah, both of them were briefs. One we were assigned together, and the other a brief came and we kind of, we worked together to respond to a brief. But that's how like representative of how hard it is to fit in new stuff when you already have a system going, you got product that you're working on, and even people that you're close to. Getting that timing can be a challenge. And so in all these years, I've done 2 songs with Herman, 1 song with John, which is an amazing song, by the way. It really, and it was pretty effortless.
Hear.
Yeah, pretty
well,
effortless.
Eric, you and I, we're next.
And we have to be next.
0.
We gotta go.
I think one of the challenging
boxes, all the boxes need to cross,
One of the challenging things is like, I feel like, since this kind of comes in waves, like there's sometimes where like all of a sudden you have all the work, and then there's sometimes where you're like, I don't know what's gonna happen, like I don't know what's coming next, what's around the corner, and that's when all of a sudden you go to a conference, it's like, yeah, let's write, and if you're at a place, especially like a conference where all of a sudden everybody's there, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna write with you, and let's set a date, and start setting dates, and then next thing you know, you bury yourself like without like realizing, and then you start like making excuses and just looking bad all around town. But I think that's really the challenging thing about, like, I guess the fact that it's really easy to get in the emotion of writing a song, but the process of making it is like so time consuming that, like, you sometimes you don't, like, I don't know, you don't plan ahead well enough.
I also think it's be tempting to like just say yes to everybody. It's like, oh, you're cool, yeah, let's get going on something. Oh yeah, you're cool, let's get going on something. And it's like you just have to at some point realize, oh, I'm only one person, and what can I actually do in a month? Like it's not everything.
I think also sometimes it's also your role in the collab, because often I'm the producer, which usually means I'm making the track, I might be participating in the writing, and then when everything's done, I'm going to be the one mixing it, most of the time. And so if I'm in something where someone's like, hey, come in, it's another producer and I'm just top lining, I might be more able to make space or time for that, because it's like, show up, write, especially if I'm not the singer, if I'm like a co-writer, and somebody else is doing everything. So I think how much you're doing or how much falls on your plate can affect your ability to take on new stuff.
But for sure, I think collabs like are kind of like, you have to keep them, on the long run. It's kind of one of those, I think, discipline that give you life, like give you actually more vocabulary, like, and especially new collabs. Like, I think it's essential to, as busy as one gets, to sort of like have the time to, weave them in and out of the thing, because that's how you learn. Like back at the conference in Chicago, I got the chance to work with a new artist that I hadn't before, Mikey Young from, I guess it was the later cohorts of 6FS, and just following his lead as far as like what he wanted to do, which was like this, like a lot more soulish hip hop type of situation. Then just, I don't know, added a bunch of stuff to my vocabulary that I didn't have before. So like, even as producer, I think like it's just essential to keep on collabing with people, but it all comes down to organization, and some of us are worse than others at doing that stuff. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's true. Mickey Young, right? Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's dope.
He's great.
Mm-hmm.
So many talented people.
Yeah, certainly agree. New collabs, like it keeps you fresh. It keeps, your network kind of keeps fresh, and your writing skills, you're like building upon, and anytime energy comes into the room, you're like, okay, well, this is different energy. What does it look like? And that's why I'm all for the 50-50 or the equal splits, because you would never have written that, whether they contributed a line or they didn't. You just never would have written it if you all weren't in the room or on Zoom together creating that. And so therefore it is all your music together.
Yeah, the best thing I've heard about the 50-50, what convinced me to, because that's, like I said, in Atlanta, they weren't really doing that. It was very much, write the song and then the negotiation afterwards happens, in terms of what percentage goes to everybody. Yeah, and so it is. And so when I heard about like, hey, Nashville, and then I heard about like Nashville has this system, with if you're in a room, everybody gets even split. And whoever explained it to me was kind of saying how, the biggest benefit of it is it takes off the pressure of, like, if it takes the pressure off trying to say, I want to make sure I'm riding on the hook, or I got to make sure this line gets in there, because if I don't get enough lines in there, I'm not going to get enough percentage. And so, it takes the pressure off. So if I throw out a line and Herman throws out a line, and I'll be more comfortable saying, you know what, Herman's line, that's actually a much catchier line than what I said. And I won't be thinking, yeah, but he's already got he's been throwing out all the lines, and I need to get some in here. I'm going to end up with like 3% of the song. And so that mentality screws up a lot of the writing in Atlanta. And so switching to if you're in the room, no matter what, you're part of the vibe, whatever happens, we're going to split it evenly, then everybody knows, okay, I can just, best idea wins, and let's just throw it out there and see what happens.
Right.
Man, I
the
definitely
integrity of the song.
Yeah. I definitely had a few situations in my writing career where it's like I was the one who was kind of sitting in the back of the room. And then I've also had a number of situations where I was the one who wrote like 95% of the song, and then the other person got 50%, and I was totally fine with it. Like it's like those kinds of situations come up all the time, and it's not that big a deal. Like you said, it's like just takes all the pressure off.
Yeah, ultimately vibe like trumps everything. And even in the long run, even in your career, like whatever 10%, 8% you're fighting for, in the long run is not worth it, because like that's the vibe that you're putting going forward. If you have a little bit more of a careless, not necessarily like oh, I don't care, I'll just work for free, which tends to happen, but yeah, eventually it will take care of you back. You know what I mean? In the long run, people will want to work with you because you're not difficult. And in the long run, that 10% is not going to matter. That 5% is not going to matter.
Nah, but there's still like songs that get held up for years and years, and like songs that can't get cleared at all because like there's two people, or something gets used and then they can't figure out who to pay for it because like they have some kind of dispute that happens after the placement even takes place. I think we got like $100,000. We got to figure out how to divvy this up, and everybody's like fighting about it, and there's like a legal battle over like 0.5%.
This is it actually makes me think of something I'm interested in all your opinions, because we're probably all the same type of people, and like we're all I haven't worked with you, Summer, but you're cool with John, so you're probably similar, but we're all like, I know like between John and Herman, we're all like very laid back, kind of like chill, kind of like a whatever, kind of roll with the punches. And we probably approach our business deals that way, especially when it comes to relationships. And one of the unspoken things that I've observed in the industry, in this side of sync, I can't talk about the major music industry, but I know for a fact that some of the people I've worked with, I've been able to work with because I'm pretty easy. Like I'm not ignorant of business, and I'm not, but I'm not a hard ass at the same time. And I'm really not one of those, let's sit down at the beginning and let's, look at the agreement and make sure we're like, I'm kind of like, if I like you, you like me, we can kind of, we'll figure it out. I'm kind of cool with it, and I know that other people in the industry who kind of have that mentality, and that mentality got them where they are. They tend to like working with those kind of people. And I find it interesting because everything, a lot of times when you watch like music business videos or whatever, they're always like, be on your business, stay on top of this, make sure, you know, you're not getting screwed over. And to me, it's like, it's a little contradictory sometimes from what I actually see working and the type of people that actually, you know, are making deals happen. What do y'all think about
it's
that?
Like the lightsaber wielders who are just like swatting things away. It's kind of like, oh, okay, I gotta slice off another piece of the song to like, so I can take everything that I need to get. I don't know.
I mean, I agree. I prefer not to work with people like that too. So it goes both ways. Like, people maybe choose to work with you that way, but also I prefer to work with other people that way. When I work with people that are just like such sticklers, or just feel like they are picking all the little things, or you're like, big picture, like, let's look at the big picture here. Like, we need a good song. That's what we're here to create something together. That always to me is like, we're just not simpatico. Like, you know, we work different ways right now, and that's cool, but I don't work that way.
So, I think
yeah,
in all the areas of the music industry, like and probably all the industries, right? But particularly in the music, like, you will find shady people. You will find people that are gonna take advantage of you, whether as a live act or as a songwriter or as a producer or as an artist, whatever. You know, you will find people that do not hold themselves, you know, that you know, that are all about the money and not about the relationship. You know, but there's certain people, not everybody operates that way. Like, ultimately I feel like as an artist, it's better to, like, you know, get burned a couple times just so you kind of are become a better judge of character, than like immediately come in like with your shell up and like be like, nobody's gonna steal my song, when even when you're starting, particularly when you're starting, you know, which is when I feel like a lot of people all of a sudden get this idea of the rights and the song, and that's why they fight for 8% of, like, it's like, you know, that's not gonna amount to anything, but you don't know, you know what I mean? Because you're like, because there's an ego, there's also that whole thing of your first creations all of a sudden going into this commercial space, right? Which maybe at first, if you haven't written much, if you haven't produced much, if you haven't performed much, it's like so value, so you know, so important to you, you know, and to your identity, and like to attach yourself to it. But yeah, it's in the long run, it always turns out better to just, you know that you're gonna get hit a couple times. Know that particularly the people in the industry that are not necessarily artists, that are merchants, that are like there for the money, you know, I mean, they're gonna like, you know, they're gonna mess with you. It's about like, okay, you're gonna mess with me, but what am I, you know, but you're gonna get something in return. Like, it's about being smart and knowing how much they're gonna exploit you, because they will exploit you. This is about exploitation of your talent. You know, there's no other way around.
But I think also these days, like, there's more power that we have, that I think I was definitely screwed over in the past, when you're giving all your power away. Like, oh, the people with the money are going to invest if they don't invest, or, you know, I might give the rights away to my song. There's a million different ways that it could look, but I think we have so much more control and understanding and knowledge of what the legalities are of our songs and what we own and how to work with people, that there's we just have more power these days as an artist, because you can distribute your own music, you can put your own music out there, you can make a great living in sync and other platforms as an artist these days, and you don't necessarily have to give it all away in order to make that money. So, you know, we're a lot smarter or more informed as artists now these days too, I think.
Do you ever sign, like, you sign record contracts before, Sonnet? And you ever got
I
signed
did, and producer contracts, and like when I first started out, I got really screwed. And I was like, I don't care if it looks bad. Like, I just want it so badly, I'll sign whatever. And, you know, you learn the hard way. But it was a different time in the industry too, where like it was at that like changeover of the power of the label going down and the independent artists kind of having that more power coming and ability to put themselves out there.
You're talking about the early 2000s?
Yes, exactly.
I think we both got record deals around the same time. Like my deal was very similar. It was like right in that awkward transition where they were like, we're going to put your CDs in brick and mortar. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't make any sense anymore.
Distribution deal with like, it's gonna be on Tower Records, and the next year they were gone. Like, yeah.
Right, exactly. You're like, none of that even matters.
Yeah,
it's so funny. We picked the wrong decade to get into the music industry.
That is funny.
Oh no, I got a lawyer. Like my first band that got a record deal from a label in New York, and we were in Seattle at the time, and we didn't know anything, and we got a lawyer that was like a copyright lawyer, and he had never seen a recording contract in his life, so he did his best whatever thing, and there was no way out of the contract. It was eternal. It's like ridiculous things, but we went and signed and everything, and that was, around there. 2004 2005 is when we were doing this type of thing. And eventually fizzled out, yada yada. The band broke up. The drummer got impregnated the guitarist's girlfriend or something. I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't remember a lot of those times. But yeah, it's exactly like you said. It was that time, 2005, 2006, where like all of a sudden CDs like stop just like being a thing. It's like you don't need to buy this anymore. Like, and like you say, like now the times of being able to distribute your own music, and reach people through social media, it's insane.
Insane. It's crazy.
You don't need a record deal. So record deal, lol. I like it. I like that whole thing.
It's so funny. Like somebody discovered me on the promenade when I was street performing, and it was like right at the end of like when record labels even meant anything, and it was a startup label. It was very cool. Like, but it's just like, what's it worth if they don't even understand the internet's a thing? I was like, what are we doing online? And they're like, what's that? It's just so funny. It's just like
Vessi Mink says that they had a demo deal with Virgin, $5,000 and bought some gear.
That's cool. I mean, I'm not going to talk trash about the label that signed me. Like they put together like a really cool. They redid like the cover, the album art for my album, and they remixed one of the songs and put some cool stuff in it. And then they put together like this big showcase at the House of Blues on Sunset. Now I'll never forget the memories that come around from that. That whole experience was really cool, but it was obviously like in hindsight, kind of a letdown. My songs weren't any good. I mean, honestly, like I look back and it's going back to like when we first started out, it's like cutting your chops. It's like, what are the things that you learn along the way? It was like part of, that was like, for me, it was like, I didn't have a team around me, like from the foundation up, like to really like kind of help get everything together. And that's why it's like when I finally got to a label, I might have had like one song that had some commercial potential, and they did the best they could, and the label failed. So just is what it is, right?
It's a lot of circumstances that go into it. I mean, because even you're saying like your song wasn't very good, but that's to like a certain standard of values that you have now. But for the people that listen at that point, for the guy that gave you the record deal, like he thought differently. He's like, no, this guy is somewhere. So that's completely relative. Good or bad is I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have Limp Bizkit. You know what I mean?
Totally.
But it's about the set of circumstances that go around it. Like you said, like if the label doesn't have their stuff together, if there's not enough juice to push the artist, and the timing of the artist and the type of music, and which has nothing to do with it being good or bad. It's more about a matter of timing and how it connects with the people at that period of time in the whole collective. It's a crazy sorcery, really, to do, like you said, a commercially successful song. It takes many moving pieces that all have to be right then and there, and then you go crazy like Kanye West. I don't know.
No, it's good stuff. Honestly, like you nailed it. Like that was all just money. Like it all comes down to sometimes with this. I think back and it's like, yeah, some of the stuff maybe I wasn't good, but like also some of it, like maybe it just wasn't my time, and maybe it just wasn't the right, like when my songs were released, it was a bad week and I got lost in the shuffle, or you never know with this kind of stuff, and it's like it's really kind of pointless to go back and like fine tooth comb over it too much. And I think like all of us do that sometimes when we're thinking about like our past and
salud.
you know what I mean?
that one hit home right there.
Yeah, right. Hey Sonnet, is this a time where you gotta bounce?
I've got about 10 more minutes on my kiddo's show over here. Okay. So all right. When that's over,
you're done.
I know she has a very special show tonight. That's more than an hour. Normally it's like 20 minutes. So, oh wow, rocking the music mom life over here.
Love it.
Nice.
Hey, we're talking about deals and lawyers. Do you all review all your own sync agreements, or is there any of your agreements that you've actually brought a lawyer into to review?
Oh, that's an interesting topic. It really just depends. Like, I think after you've had a few deals, you kind of know what to look for a lot of the time, and you're not going to get quote unquote get fleeced by most companies, because like they know that most people know the basic terminology and all that stuff. And maybe it's the wrong decision, but as an indie, it's like, maybe I don't have the $200 to spend every time I want to have somebody take a look at a contract for a song that's being placed for $500 that I have to split, So it's like, it's just not you have to balance out could I get screwed versus like, how much money do I actually want to lose in the net with this whole thing? So
right.
I think if you understand the contract clearly, if there's no part of it that you're like, what does this mean? I wonder what was like. I mean, if you're aware of everything, and once you see enough contracts, you'll realize, like he says, like what to look for. I mean, if you're not, then yeah, it's definitely worth it to have somebody explain it to you and make the investment once, to have somebody run you the contracts, and then you'll get the education that way. But yeah, so far all the same contracts are pretty simple. I mean, I know that lawyers, a lot of the good use of the lawyers is to negotiate sometimes when you're talking about big deals, like record label deals or bigger picture deals, a lot of money deals, and that's when maybe you want to hire somebody to be the bad guy for you instead of yourself. But I don't know, like it says for Temptation Island, just
yeah, there's a pretty big difference between like, a 1-page, we're going to use your song for this episode of Temptation Island versus like, here's a 30-page management agreement, or
right.
a page, we want to sign you as an artist to a record label deal. You'd be pretty nuts to not have a lawyer review it, in my opinion, even if it didn't seem like the money was a lot, because like the potential's there for you to get locked in, and who wants to sign a deal that, I mean, fortunately, that was one of the things I did right, was back when I signed the record label deal that I did, I had a lawyer friend take a look at it, and he's like, helped me figure out a couple of things. I didn't understand any of it, really. I mean, that was back then. I didn't know shit about the music industry.
Stuff.
Yeah, and they can negotiate sometimes on your behalf for things where there's like room for negotiation that you might not know or have, the feeling that you want to negotiate for yourself. Sometimes a lawyer you can bring in. But I think for licensing contracts, agreed. Like once you kind of know what to look for, what you're willing to sign, there's a lot of the same things in each of those.
Has anybody? I'm that way. I haven't. I mean, I pretty much have been comfortable reading my own agreements and signing them. They've all been relatively simple. I've only recently actually got a regular lawyer as I started doing more agency work. So I had a lawyer like put on my own agency agreements, and we're right now like in negotiation with some larger agencies to represent our catalog. So I have a lawyer reviewing their agreement. But this is the only time. But in my own agreements with like libraries, with third party pictures. I've been pretty much reading it, and I can't think of any time where I've actually like negotiated anything or sent an agreement back, or and my, at least the stuff that I've been involved with has pretty much been kind of like take it or leave it. You either want to work with this company or you don't want to work with this company.
We're gonna give you $200 for 10 songs, or we're gonna give you nothing. Take it or leave it. Yeah, okay. How long? How long are the songs?
Hey, it's McDonald's money, right?
20-second songs.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
There you go.
I'm eating it.
Do we have another subject? Let's move on to the contracts.
We got a subject. Let's talk about drinking and writing.
There we go. Let's get to the fun. Oh, so you were waiting till Sonnet was about to leave before you got to all the fun topics.
No,
Is that what it wasn't.
Son's not drinking tonight, so she can't. Don't you have to go?
You brought up the subject about I think it was oh, where did we cut our teeth? And it was like, oh, okay, maybe we're not talking about drinking right this second, but seriously, I don't know, sometimes the vibe of it, it's who's drinking. Sometimes you walk into a session and nobody's drinking and you just feel like, oh, okay, I'm the alcoholic if I crack a beer at 10 o'clock, it's okay,
10 o'clock in the morning, these people not.
Is that wrong? Is that bad?
I don't think there's something wrong with it. But I've also had sessions where people bring the handle of vodka in, and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. It's we're doing this, and it's oh, okay, this is fun.
Machine, bright and early. It's funny. I think it's there's certain people. I remember teaching guitar. I taught guitar for many years, and I had this student, adult. That he would come with a couple beers, one for me, one for him, because he needed to have a beer in his guitar lesson to get in the mood, even though he could barely change from E to A, right? But he needed to have his beer to be in the mood. I have rappers come in here. I have one. Not gonna say any names, but this guy one time came in and gonna say, okay, I'm ready to track. Hold on, and he just downs half a fifth of whiskey or something. Eats a bunch of mushrooms, starts smoking like crazy. All right, I'm ready. Records 2 verses and passes out.
And then half an hour, all of a sudden the walls are moving, and he's like, "Where am I?"
The gold stuff. He's like, "Whoo." Got it out, and then he passes out after he gets it all out.
It comes to everybody. Depends on your level of comfort. There's definitely something about the I guess the release of the inhibitions that will make you be a little bit braver in seeing certain things that you choose or something. But then you can also achieve that through confidence and meditation and healthier ways.
Sure. Yeah.
Both. Yeah. I mean, I always feel like there's that fine line where it's well, you need to still stay in the how do I not, if you're doing vocals, it's okay, well, you need to let go a little bit so that you can be in the magic of it, but also enough technically correct so that it's a good take, and that you're within doing something also that can be used. So there's that fine line of not passing out.
I blame my cultural background. There's definitely this image of one of the greatest mariachi singers called Vicente Fernandez, who would go and sing in the palenques, the celebration, whatever, for 6 hours straight with a bottle of tequila in hand and singing like an angel, top of the lungs, clear, and while drinking tequila for 6 hours. It's ridiculous. So every time I get on the booth, I'm like, well, maybe there's something to that. Maybe I gotta drink a little something to hit this falsetto note that I'm singing about empowering girls for a commercial. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I do a lot of my writing now during the day, and so usually for me drinking is kind of about winding down at the end of the day, kind of getting out of it. So I kind of approach it more kind of it's like my day job, but if I'm in a I do a lot. I mean, a lot of my writing is by myself, so it's very isolated, very kind of solo work. If I'm collaborating, when we were doing things more in person, and if I'm with someone, I could definitely see like even I like the sessions where there alcohol there you could do a shot or whatever, just to get it, because you gotta let your guard down. You gotta be comfortable enough to just throw out the crazy ideas and not worry about people looking at you like you're ridiculous, and so finding that line between enough to kind of get the guard down, but not so much where you're totally out of character or being unprofessional, or I think is definitely a line there.
Have you seen Get Back, the documentary on the Beatles? It's on Disney Plus.
I didn't see it yet. No.
Oh, it's awesome, and it's funny because they're like, as they're writing things, they're always kind of this. They're drinking all the time, kind of like smoking and all this. Obviously, Paul McCartney is just a jerk. Like he'll come, it's like, I wrote this little ditty yesterday when I find myself in times of trouble. It's like, oh, come on, you just wrote that yesterday. It's just like you just decided to write "Let It Be One Day." You ass. So,
what a jerk. Yeah, I gotta watch that before my Disney Plus thing expires.
Yeah,
I haven't started mine yet.
Maybe I don't know if you have time to talk about like the streaming service dance on it, like where you subscribe to one and then you have to you unsubscribe to that and then you go to another one. I do that constantly. I know.
We have like our staples though in our house, because we have certain shows we just like always have to have with the kiddos. It's not as easy to do the dance. So I can't speak to that, but I'm going to hop off so that you guys can continue the story of the conversation on the dance. And it's been really fun. See you guys next week.
Great.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye,
Silent.
All right.
Give me 30 seconds so I can you guys can go, but I need to get a refill.
Yes. I'm good. I'll hold the fort. So hey, yeah. Do you relate to that, like the whole streaming dance? The streaming service dance.
I just recently I just recently broke up with my girlfriend, and she moved out, and she had a bunch of the streaming services, and I am just kind of getting back into the streaming services. So I'll see what it is, and I know that I had some offers from Verizon. They're like, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. So I'm figuring it out as I go. What I really do want to find out is how are people recording the clips of the placements they get? Because like,
oh, interesting.
Like I see the little videos and it's the audio and the video of the broadcast. I tried to record one that I just had in All American, but when I actually set the computer to the QuickTime to start recording, the playing app, the Spectrum app goes blank, like goes dark,
it's copyright protection.
It senses or something. So I don't know. Do you do that? Do you rip the clips and stuff?
Honestly, it was super exciting to me at first, for like the first like 10 placements that I got, and then after that, I just started like just screen recording, like or it's not screen recording, but I would like literally get my iPhone out and I would just like press play on my iMac or like the TV or something like that, and I would just like screen record it with my phone, just because it's like for posterity's sake, I guess, more than anything, because it's like I just didn't even want to be bothered with like figuring out how to circumvent the the security protections and stuff like that. I think with fair use, it's so dumb. It's like you should be able to like record little snippets of stuff and be able to do that. But it's it's their stuff, I guess. They want their 5%. Hey Eric, do you do because I do the streaming service dance a lot. Like I'll have Netflix, watch all the shows that I want to watch, and then like I'm just like, why do I have Netflix? And then I unsubscribe from that. It's like, why pay for Hulu and Netflix and Disney and like all these other there's others that I'm forgetting. And
so I'm kind of a loyalty person. Like I've always like been loyal to the services that I like, and I'll stick to those. But now there's so many new services. Like I haven't gone on Apple. I haven't watched any of the Apple TV shows. And so now I'm at the point where I'm starting to think like, do I cancel something well, I recently did cancel like Stars and I had BET Plus. I had those because I had shows. I had music on shows on those networks. And so I signed up to them just to watch the show. But I'm now thinking about doing the dance. I've had Netflix forever. I can't imagine canceling that.
Technically, that means that subscriptions to streaming services are tax deductible, right? Because you're there to watch your work.
I do. I do claim streaming services.
Of course, because you have to watch it. That's how it's research.
But even with that, it's still a limit. I'm just like, it's still a bill. I'm like,
that's how I feel. I honestly need every single tax deduction that I can get as
all of them.
As a freelancer, as like a independent business owner. It's like I need all the write-offs that I can get. But with that said, it's like the pocket cash, and it's like be spending $100 a month. I definitely don't want to be spending that much. So it's like, you're just like, okay, I'll check this out. See you later. They made it pretty easy to do now. It's like, for the most part, it's like you just like the next time you log on, you're like, hey, do you want to re-up? And it's like, okay, I'll do it. Click of a button. A couple of them, it's like a click of a button, but it's like some of them are a pain.
I tend to binge shows. So like right now I'm watching Better Call Saul, and when I'm almost done with it, and when it's done, then I'm like, okay, if there's nothing on Netflix that's going to grab my attention right then, maybe that's the time. At some point I do want to check out some of the Apple TV shows, but I need to be at a point where I'm not like watching anything else.
You should check out Severance. Severance is crazy.
I've heard that was great. Yeah.
It's really good.
But HBO Max comes out with some great stuff too. And so between Netflix and HBO Max, I usually get pulled into something. And so, but Severance, I never watched Ted Lasso. And so just there's a few things in there I wouldn't mind checking
Lasso's out. Good. Lasso's good.
I heard.
Did you finish Ozark?
No, Ozark I might do after I finish Saul.
I mean, if you like Better Call Saul, it's kind of like in the same.
I started Ozark many, many years ago when it first came out, and I watched like most of the first season, and I got distracted by something else and never went back to it. So I guess it didn't grab me. From what I hear from everybody else, like second or third season
the third season is crazy. Honestly, they could have ended it at the end of the third season, and I would have been totally fine with it. Like the fourth season was good. I thought it was a good ending for it and everything like that. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I thought it was good ending to the season and the series and all that stuff. But third season was probably my favorite of all.
But did it end after 4?
Yeah, it's done.
Oh, okay.
It's done now, but it's good. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The streaming service dance. Like, what else do we have in here?
What else do you have there, man?
We got. I this up. I don't know.
How much time do you have?
Dude, I was thinking about this.
What is that? But it's not a waste because it's all tax deductible. At least, if anything, it's not completely wasted.
That is the lie that you keep telling yourself, Armand. That is the lie that you tell yourself, bro. Tell yourself whatever you need to feel better at night. Oh man!
Now it's all digital, right? Like, I mean, it's mostly plugins, right?
It's mostly plugins.
You can't waste money on good analog gear, right? That's an investment. Or can you, John?
I mean, you buy a car with like the amount that we probably all spent on plugins, right?
Yeah.
Couple,
probably most of us, most of the people out there, the 7. By the way, to the 7 of you who are still here, we really cheers you and appreciate you.
Cheers and appreciation.
Cheers and appreciation. I'm gonna top myself off here a little bit, but
you were smart. You kept the bottle with you. Smart.
Smart or totally dumb. I don't know. Like it's good.
How do you like the basil?
I like it. It comes with a belt. I mean, that makes me feel like I'm drinking something fancy because it is
sophisticated.
Belt. And also, I mean, it was CVS top shelf.
It's good shit. I don't know. I like it. It's definitely like a go-to for me if I'm like just at a bar and I want like a good whiskey. Want something on just like the whiskey on ice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, I don't know if it was if I had already gone when we were chatting when we met like last time at Durango. No, I think I went afterwards. I went to Sedona and I stopped in Prescott. And I stopped in this bar in Prescott that I guess is historical because that's where White Earp and everybody went drink and whatnot. And they have an extensive list of like whiskeys and bourbons and rye and all that, and some crazy shots, some crazy Pappy Van Winkle, something, $1,000 a bottle. I mean, crazy stuff. Man. They got crazy stuff. But it was cool. It's the first time I've been to like an actual like West whiskey bar, Prescott, Arizona, or Prescott. How do you say Prescott?
I think they call it Prescott in Arizona. I lived in Arizona for 8 years, so I don't know. Maybe I was hanging around the people who didn't know how to say Prescott, but
I don't know. Like last time I was having this conversation with somebody, and I was saying Prescott, and it's like it's Prescott, and I'm like, I don't know what you say. I'm not saying the same fucking thing, but
Prescott.
Prescott.
All my life, like Tombstone is one of my favorite movies.
You got
love like westerns, all the stuff. I never knew where any of these towns were. So like moving out here now, I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, I know, I had no idea.
And go out to Tombstone.
I am. I'm like, it's ridiculous,
dude. And it's beautiful there. Like you're there. Like next time you have a chance to take a little time off, and you're close, like go to Sedona, man, and Prescott and all that area. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's beautiful over there.
It's a must. Definitely will. I definitely will.
Yeah, it's the whole nother side of Tucson, man. Like but then again, how are you gonna leave all that luxury behind? Like your grand piano.
I know the grand piano and the extra cavernous room.
Got quite a sectional couch there too. Some elaborate cabinetry there,
But this is the green screens are getting better. I mean, this is when the metaverse kicks in, like we're all going to be living in luxury. Like we'll all have like we'll be doing Zooms. We'll be in the jacuzzi.
We're going to be in trailers that are stacked on top of each other on like dirty soiled mattresses.
Yes, but we'll be like living our life. We'll be like, the views will be amazing. Experiences will be great. Like it'll be awesome.
It is
awesome.
Do you guys
already
own any VR? Do you guys have like an Oculus or anything like
that?
I do. And I tell you, the intro page of the Oculus, you can select your little living room or whatever it is that you are, and it's awesome. I mean, it's still grainy. It's still a little grainy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but the depth perception and all of that, like, it's just the fact that you're like kind of there. And you can select, and it's peaceful. You can watch like, the movies and with that. And you can. I mean, I mostly just stab a lot of people in this one game.
Can I ask a question?
To stab people. If you like to stab people, get virtual reality.
It's just great. It's great.
So come on,
for the desire to stab.
I've never done it. Actually, I've never even worn an Oculus. How do you keep from running into the wall?
There's what they call a guardian, basically. So like you set up actually the area that you're playing in, and it kind of like brings up a grid when you're getting up close. All of a sudden you see it in game, you see the lines that you're like, but you can't avoid totally running into the wall. I've hit the wall many times while trying to get away from things, or while trying to stab somebody. I was like, I'm gonna get you, and like I end up hitting the wall.
I mean, isn't that like don't people like? I mean, isn't that like lawsuits and people falling down steps and like how do you?
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure in the opening whatever agreement that I never read, it says something like you're gonna get hurt and you can sue Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, like Mark Zuckerberg is not at fault if you break your wrist against the ceiling when you're trying to like chop somebody's head off. So there you go. And we're gonna use all your data, and we know where you live, and we know what you're buying. And do you want to buy some more of that?
Yeah. How many times?
Oh, I'm sorry. How many times have you like recorded yourself while you're in the stuff? Does it look like totally ridiculous when you're like just in the gear and all that thing?
I mean, I've never like recorded like actually myself on the outside. Like you can actually like record gameplay, and I've done that a couple of times. but no, I don't like recording myself, period, doing anything, like, straight up. Like, I just, like, do not enjoy watching myself do anything.
Well, you're not gonna like watching the show then.
I never watch shit that I do, man. I don't watch videos of shows.
I'm not watching myself ever.
Everybody's tagging me on videos and photos. I'm like, nope. No. Like, thank you. No,
what about when you perform? You don't watch your performances?
Yeah, rarely and not really. Nah. I skip. I pass. Like, I already imposed that on people. Like, yeah.
It all goes back to that time in high school or whatever.
Exactly. I haven't really worked on those traumas, so that's why I have an aversion to, like, watch myself and listen to myself. Actually, my voice, when I hear my talking voice, it fucking annoys me. It's crazy.
I totally relate to that. I don't watch any of the stuff that I do either. I just not because I like hate the sound of my voice or I think I look like a dumbass or anything like that. It's like, I don't know. There's so much to do.
It's a weird experience to watch the meat bag that you inhabit all of a sudden acting, and you're like, oh, that's me. That's weird. Like, what is this? What is this reality?
I think it's interesting. The one thing that is interesting about it, though, is you look back and you kind of see it's like a past reflection of yourself or something like that. It is interesting to look back at. I've watched a couple of videos of me back when I was in college and I had long hair and I was in a rock band and all that stuff and doing some kind of klutzy, funky dance on the stage, singing my, like, I don't know, Dave Matthews / Police / like Pearl Jam / like so many other influences and what I was singing, and it's just kind of funny to look back. It's like almost like you're looking at a time capsule or something like that.
Oh, and Facebook is a jerk. Facebook will be like, remember this 11 years ago.
We all have that moment where, like, I don't ever want to remember that ever again, right?
Facebook is like, we thought you'd like to remember this from 11 years ago. And you're like, oh my God.
I don't want to remember that person ever again.
Yeah. I've been there.
It's nuts. So hit us with another topic, John.
Okay, we're gonna keep this thing moving, all right, so we talked about drinks and how about just, like, annoying sounds, like, I don't know. I thought to myself, like, what's the most annoying sound that I can make earlier? And
wasn't that a line in, like, Dumb and Dumber, or what was the movie?
Maybe the sound that I was thinking of making myself was, like, kind of similar. That was like,
there is a line. I think it's in Dumb and Dumber,
like that, right?
You want to hear, or was it Step Brothers? It's either Step Brothers or Dumb and Dumber. One of those two is like.
Yeah, that was like, but we all like annoying sounds, obviously, for, like, people who are in the professional audio world. It's like feedback is, like, the worst, right? It's like, that's, if I had to put, like, any annoying sound at the top of the list, like, you ever been blown away, like you accidentally put something on you have your monitors, like, cranked up pretty high, and then you just realize that you don't have something live when it's live, and then you just, like, turn it up.
As a fan of rock, I can tell you, and I know maybe you guys won't relate to this, and maybe none of the 7 people will relate to this, but the snare sound on Metallica's Saint Anger album,
oh dude,
is the most annoying sound ever in history.
That is the worst snare sound I've ever heard in my entire life.
And sound,
it's so bad.
I feel like I need to check this out.
Yeah, it's worth.
You will not sample that snare at all. You will not. I promise you. It sounds like it was recorded in like a garage. If they put like a 58 inside a trash can, and then like I don't even know, like, put a cat in there or something like that, like the fuck with the sound or something. I think
Bob Rock had a terrible cocaine problem at that point or something, because, like, it's just not, it wasn't happening.
Have you seen the documentary where they all like Metallica? So dude, it's so cringe though. That Metallica, that is like the cringiest documentary I've ever seen in my life, because they bring in, like, it's funny that we're annoying sounds and then you bring up Metallica, because, like,
it's amazing.
It's like worse than watching the Jersey Shore. It's like it's like worse
going
than
to therapy and shit.
Show. They're like crazy. they're like the Jason Newsted, the bass player. They're like going and talking about him, and then they go to see him perform when he doesn't care about them at all anymore.
Wow.
And they're just like, it's just so awkward. Everything, the entire thing's super awkward.
It's like surreal, like Lars the drummer is like selling pieces of art for millions of dollars, but he's so sad and broody about it.
Oh yeah,
it's insane.
You got Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, who's like arguably one of the most successful heavy metal bands of all time, like just whining and crying that he didn't like, get his feelings heard when he was like a member of Metallica. And it's just so funny. Like the whole thing feels
when
like
they hire the new bass player, they're like, we're just gonna give you $1 million and like that. And he's like, okay,
you just do whatever we tell you, and then he's probably okay with that. I don't know.
But I did hear the best news today in terms of the music business, the music world, the music legacy of humanity in the universe. Straight up.
What?
They are working on Spinal Tap 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I'll watch that.
The original cast, the original director, and all that. They're making Spinal Tap 2. Apparently, it's slated to release in 2024. I don't know what to do with myself about it.
I might be the only person who's never seen Spinal Tap 1. I have to go back.
Okay. So you don't understand what two words means.
Check out,
I know the movie. I know the movie. I never watched the movie.
2 words.
No, it's just crazy, man. I guess for I spent a lot of time in the rock band thing and touring and all that. So like it became like everybody will talk about Spinal Tap, so then you would watch it and a million times, and it's just a hilarious movie. I mean, that's for sure. But the amount of weird stereotypes and moments that they caught in music, like to the point that, for instance, like out of a joke, they like one of the jokes is that they release an album with a completely black cover. You know what I mean? Because they get censored because like their cover is too sexist or whatever, right? And then years later, Metallica actually releases an album with a whole black cover. It's like it's funny, but yeah, it's an immensely quotable movie. The whole thing that it goes to 11, D minor being the saddest of all keys.
I know
working on a sex farm. Chris Bradley used to perform in a Spinal Tap cover band, which must have been fucking insane.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I forgot that. That's funny. 2 words. Shit sandwich.
Yeah.
that was like a review that they got. It was like a 2-word review.
Yeah, you have to watch it. If you find Spinal Tap, it's just hilarious. It's really, really well done.
I love the mockumentary stuff. Mockumentaries are like A Mighty Wind,
I like
Best in Show.
I like Best in Show.
Waiting for Guffman, like all those Christopher Guest movies are hilarious to me.
Yeah, and they all had what's the woman's name? She stars in a lot of those. She's hilarious. I can't think of her name, but she was in she was one of the judges in Best in Show. Her and other guy. They're hilarious.
Trying to think of who that was, but it's a similar cast and crew. Like in a lot, there's a lot of crossovers from like the different shows the different movies that he put on.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got like Eugene Levy's in like most of them. Who are some of the other actors that are in that?
Jane Lynch is who I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She was from a lot of those.
Those are so good. Like, I mean, mockumentaries. Like, what would be another interesting mockumentary?
You named the ones that I like. Best in Shows. One of my
just like situations that they haven't done a mock, like they did like what's the one with the vampires that's hilarious? Like there's one about vampires that's really funny.
Oh, the What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah. The movie's really good. Oh my god, the movie's great and the TV shows is really great too.
That's hilarious stuff.
I never saw that. I don't even know that one.
Yeah. Oh well, do you like funny, like just kind of, I mean, like do you like the whole Office, like where they're talking to the camera?
Yep.
And all that stuff. Do you like vampires? Like if it was funny, like the vampires are like talking in silly accents and they're just like constantly talking
shit.
Yeah,
I just wasn't aware of that movie. I never heard of it.
Dude, the movie's really good. I think the TV series is also really good. It's different people in different movie in the TV show.
And what's the name of it again?
What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I'll have to look it up.
Pretty sure that's the title of it, right?
Yeah.
I freaking love that show. It's got the guy. Did you ever watch IT Crowd? The series IT Crowd?
Yeah.
I think I saw an episode of it.
Okay, well, that's one of my favorite, like, kind of weird.
Oh, it's on Hulu.
Yeah, the whole series on there. I it's on Netflix too for a while. I don't know if it's on there anymore, but I go through and I watch that. But the boss guy is like one of the vampires in the TV series. The creepy boss guy from that show.
Oh, from the IT show.
Yep, from the IT show.
Gotcha.
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Cheers again to this reprise of Durango 2021, right? Like TV and film, which is
technically I still have some left, so I'm allowed to cheers. I'm allowed to cheers.
Which is the last time actually we were enjoying a fine drink of rye
together. That's very true.
Yeah.
This was not a first Durango.
It's definitely not a fine drink, but it's fine company.
Right? yeah. There you go.
That was for John, and that was. I think Herman, that was your first Durango, and then like John and I was our first one in person. I think.
Well, my first like TV and film, I had done the regular Durango before the pandemic. Yeah. But I'm not gonna be at the one this year because I like kind of like I got my dates all messed up. I have a show in Denver, and then I'm gonna be going to Mexico the week after that. So I'm gonna be missing on the fun of the TV and film, which is it's heavy. I mean, the supervisors go hard on that one. I'll I know that I remember the last because we were in the same room too. Actually, we were like playing our reels.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
And John.
Yeah, we were in the same. We were in the same group.
And the last day, all of them are like sunglasses and Bloody Marys. Like, yeah, just play
God, dude, there was one of the panels.
Play it, just play it.
I'm not going to name any names, and I'm not going to say anything. But it's like there was a group they could not have cared less that we were there. They were so hungover from the last night. They were just like, "What are we doing here?"
It was the first one that we had on Saturday. They were like really like just dying on the table as you're playing your reel and shit.
They did not care. That was funny. That was funny. There's some good good stories for anybody who have no idea what Durango is. Just a conference, another conference. We're the three of us, and also Sonnet, who was on the call earlier. We're all in music licensing. It's one of the things that we do well. It's one of the things that we're specializing in the music industry. A lot of us teach as well, and produce and write and all that stuff. But it's that's kind of the angle, like, as far as like versus like more taking the artist approach and really succeeding in the artist realm. I'm not sure. I'm sure other folks on this in this call have had more success than I have in the artist world, but it's like, my main focus has been like sync these last like 5 or 6 years. And so a lot of the stuff that we do talk on here, it's going to naturally be kind of colored by that.
Which is I think most of the people that will probably gravitate around, what the whole sphere of social media probably have gotten to know you and me and whatever through the sync space and specifically through the course that you like worked and you like teach, you know what I mean? Because we were your students, sensei, and that exactly. And you know what, it was crazy, man. Being in Chicago, there was one point where me and Marie were like at the last event, and everybody's like in the whatever restaurant where we're hanging out, and people are playing the piano and singing songs, and we're looking at it, and we're like, this whole conference, all of these people came from they're all Moonanites. They all came from the Catch the Moon. They all came from the 6 event.
Moonanites.
Yeah.
It's funny. That's a character from Aqua Teen
Hunger Force. Yeah, I call them Moonanites.
The Moonanites.
And it's insane. It's insane. All that people, all of them, the whole conference, and all of this, it really is amazing how I think there's a whole section and a big section of artists that found their way in the space of sync and licensing through that program. I think Temptation Island wouldn't have any music now if it wasn't. I don't know what would be playing there. Like,
my God.
There's so many. Temptation Island's a kind of a horrible TV series that's on USA. I just say it's terrible because it's like there's this trend with like these horrible shows where they take these couples and they're like, here, we'll put you on an island with like super attractive people that you're into, you know, and see if that fucks up your relationship. You know, that's pretty much what it is, right?
Spoiler alert, it does.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I've ever watched the show and I know it does. Like you think about yourself, you're like, you're in a good relationship. Put me in that situation. I'm like just like in a hot tub with like all these girls. It's like, okay, that's not.
But it's so funny how through whatever gravity, whatever inertia happened, that all of a sudden, like, you know, all this music from all these people that discovered it and it changed lives. Like, honestly, I'm not gonna get all sentimental because I've been drinking with y'all for an hour and a half. But it was I mean, it was life changing for you, and then meeting you was life changing for me and for him, and honestly, it's pretty crazy to think about it. So it's really cool to have been a part of that, because also it was fine. Like, there's no more 6FS, right? Like, it's done. It was
an error.
It was an error.
It was an error. Not an error. Like,
no, error.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Not an error.
It wasn't an error for sure.
I was kind of slurring what I was saying, and I was like, "Wait, that's not right."
So, John, the whole Temptation Island thing.
Yeah,
are those placements coming through your community? Like, because they're all 6FS people. Were they?
Well,
is that through you guys?
We brought the thing is, we brought I mean, we're friends with Josh, so Josh has done a bunch of the music for Temptation Island, and it's been I just think it's like we've had some connections in the past, even before Sonnet and I started our company Sync It, and we've had some recent placements as a result of like just stuff that's happened from there. But it's like going even before then. We had connections to Josh and Atrium, who has been providing the music for that show. So it's it kind of goes back a little ways.
But was he doing briefs or something in your thing, or did he do his own briefs, or did people just connect with him?
I mean, he runs his own agency, so he's looking for certain things at certain times, but like, you know, one of the things that's like great about if there's some way that the one thing that we were always good about being able to do is like kind of like screen the music and make sure that the music that we're sending to him is actually ready. You know, it was like along those lines. It's like, if it's like with any agency, if the floodgates are just wide open, everybody who thinks they have a song is just going to throw it's like goes back to the days where like there were record labels and they were, you know, artists that were like mailing them stuff all the time, and it's like it's kind of like that, you know. I think it's like that, but it's just digital,
maybe,
you know.
Maybe this person connected with like the vibe of all the Mooninites, and then he keep on tapping on them, like he keep on tapping on that music, and it's like, yeah, this is a good vibe. This helps me achieve the goal of putting the music to this, and it's amazing, and to think back, like really the role that you had to play on it, like bringing all these people, talking to all these people, and then talking to them in behalf of all the 200 monks that were like watching this, like, I don't know what, like, think like it's so crazy to think about 3 years, you know, from now when I took the course, and yeah, man, like how impactful it was for like a large amount of artists. That's something that I hope you're happy about, like that you take part of that, because like you like
honestly, like
it's part of that too.
It's been like a huge thing to be a part of that, and honestly, it's like been game changing in my career to be a part of that, and it's also I discovered my love for teaching and helping people to learn about just like how to level up and how to actually start making money in the music industry, and having your music actually heard by people instead of you know, I don't want to make this honestly like definitely don't want to talk too much about this, but because I talk about this all the time, it's like part of my job. It's like, but it's a big part of my job is like to talk about. Eric, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, see, you're like, yeah, but it's like it really does mean a lot to me, you know. And it's like anytime I go to some event that's where I know that there could be folks from Catch the Moon, it's like it's just always such a wonderful thing to be surrounded by and feel the love and be able to like give people a hug that you see on the screen. And I remember when I first started teaching, I just didn't even know what like. I kind of didn't know what I was doing, but I did because I'd had success in licensing. It was just like I'd never really had experience like teaching groups before, but all of a sudden I was teaching like 300 people how to do things, and I had to figure it out real quick. So I was just like, oh, you know, this week we're going to work on this. We're going to do this. I'm going to just pretend like I'm standing in front of a group of people and just look into that camera as much as I can. And, you know, the rest is kind of history, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just goes down to that.
It came out pretty natural to you, but also like how people develop. Like I didn't know Angela Sheik of the Guild of Music Supervisors. I didn't know she was a Moonanite.
Oh, you know? I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
no, I found out about that, and I'm like, holy shit!
People can climb up really quick with stuff. I don't know. It's like it's interesting to note. Like I mean, I have friends who, you know, you write a song with them, and then you know, 6 months later, they're the head at this agency or that other big thing, and then it's just like it happens all the time. It's everybody's always like everybody's moving up, and the people that you run with earlier on, it could be a cool situation. And it doesn't surprise me at all. Any of the people who learned how to do something, I think it's anytime somebody discovers the thing that they were put on this earth to do, then they're just gonna like. I think it's like the thing that you really want to do is you want to run towards that as fast as you can, and you want to climb up that ladder, you know. And it's not surprising to me at all that people do that. They find their way. It's like, oh, I want to be in the supervisor community, or I want to start my own agency, and we've seen that kind of stuff happen. Oh, I want to like really like hit it on the artist level and like the sync level. It's like it's just like that's the fun part. Like that's the fun part of the industry, is discovering what it is that you were put on earth to do in the industry. And it's like one of the things that we get to do here is just like, I was like, hey, you know, I was just having conversations with y'all. It's like, hey, why don't we just like open a room and just talk about stuff for a couple of hours and see what happens, you know?
You were just looking for a justification to hit that Jim Beam vanilla, man.
I think so. Honestly, like it's getting the whole balance. It's like, and you know, like on a less serious note, it's like, it's just like the whole life work balance thing. It's like, it's so hard sometimes, right, to get that balance right. And
well, especially when you're your own boss, like when you're management. Like if I go to management and be like, I don't want to work today, management is like, okay, yeah, take the day off. We'll figure it out, you know. But then again, is that good? Is that bad? Or sometimes you put so much pressure on yourself, and you're like, well, maybe I should be doing things. So like, the uncertainty that comes with this job is not for everybody, and that's probably one of the hardest things to be an independent artist, to be a self-employed independent artist, is that there is no certainty at all.
Yeah.
And you're always thinking, am I doing enough? Am I doing right? Like, yeah, I got a roof over my head. Okay, I got my bills paid, but and then that depends on the discourse that you have in your head, like all the toxic talk that we all give to each other or to ourselves, not to each other, because we're very nice to people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very nice to you all. Like I support you, and then when I talk about myself, like, motherfucker, you fucking up. But like,
very true.
It's a very tough thing, but I feel like there are people like both of you actually that turn that. I feel you turn that not anxiety, but that challenging feeling of, am I doing something? You actually turn that into mentorship, into something that actually sort of gives back to people. And I know that ultimately or I imagine that ultimately there's this thing that is also for you. It's like, well, I'm doing something good so I know that I'm, you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be taken care of later on or something. Like I'm not wasting my time. Hopefully the future won't be horrible for me, because that's all we can hope for, right? It's like, hopefully things are not gonna be terrible. But you know, there are people that turn that into whatever toxic behaviors or other things, and there are people like you guys that really turn that into something that gives back to people. And honestly, I'm grateful for both of you, because actually both of you have really shaped my life in ways that you guys don't even imagine. Like just the relationship that I've gotten with both of you guys, as little or as deep as it has actually shaped my life in a lot of ways. Is it good or bad? I will tell you. Well, maybe in my deathbed, I'll be like, "Damn you, John Kleinbill! why you made me want to make that song for McDonald's?" You know, you know what I mean? But for the time being, I salute you both, gentlemen and scholars. And,
appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. No, it's very, very, very cool of you to share that, like, in a public forum. Hello, world. Seriously, though, it's like, this is like what we're here on Earth to do, is to connect, to like, to make music, to inspire each other. And if I had any like little part to do with anybody like turning a corner in any kind of way, it just feels really fucking good, honestly. Cheers, y'all.
No, man. The first time I met John Kleinbill, man, I went super weird on his ass, because I was like,
was that taxi conference?
I told you I was at the taxi conference. And it was in the middle of the course, and I'm not gonna lie, the course was like at first so intense to me, I guess, in terms of experience, because I've never been in that whole environment of like, all of a sudden I'm in a group in the internet with people showing them my work, and we're all learning about this thing, and I feel all inadequate because I'm really like, you know, I didn't have any confidence on whatever skills required for this whole space. And at some point I would have dreams about the course. I would have dreams that I would be, you know, listening to this motherfucker on the screen, like telling me shit, you know, and all of a sudden I go to the taxi convention, right? And I was part of the cohort, so he's the teacher. He's like, you know, he's got this level of authority, and everybody's like flocking to him, and it's like John Kleinbill, and I see all the people from the cohort like just going.
Dude, I remember that specific moment. I remember that I was standing like I was in like the area where they had like I was in the bar, and then there was also like this little area where they had like vendors with like the books, and like they had like a huge stack of like free Red Bulls and shit. And I was standing there, and then I was at one point I was just surrounded by like I think 15 people, and I was like,
everybody shoving drinks to his face. It's like, John, here's a beer.
That was great.
I was wondering, that was my first time meeting you, and I could imagine how that felt for you. Actually, it's my first time meeting Herman. Herman and I jammed on stage in the band, which was like the greatest experience, because that's probably the first time I even picked up drums in like 5 years or something, because I've always been like in this, you know, I've switched into production mode. But I was thinking, like, for you, like, you weren't even like attending Taxi. You just came to hang out.
And it was just rock staring the shit. Like he was like, "Hey, what's up? I'm Joe." The way
it flocked, I was like, how does that feel for him? Like, just like I don't know.
Just
like
came out because my buddy Steve Collum, he told me, he's like, you don't even need a pass, just come out and like hang out at the bar. It was like, oh, okay. I didn't even have a
I
badge.
Forgot you and Steve were buddies. That's
yeah. He and I remember.
I went up to John, and I'm like, hey, John, I'm part of the class of Catching Music. I've been dreaming about you.
Did you say that?
I don't remember that. That's funny. I do remember that you were there. I don't remember you saying that. But
I said that, and he goes like, "Hey, whoa, what's up?" Like he says, like there was somebody else.
Like played it off like it was funny. I mean, it was funny. Like
no, you were like kind of like weirded out, like, "Hey, like whoa, like what are you talking about?" Because it sounded weird. Because I came out like super psycho and shit. I'm like, "Hey, John, I'm part of the class. I'm having dreams about you." Like, hey, girl, what the fuck? And then after that, I just kind of like sat quietly, just kind of like in the corner, just being like, okay, I gotta calm my fucking shit.
That's actually hilarious.
It was, man. But yeah, man, it's just such a crazy experience going through that whole course and that whole learning and showing your music and accessing this whole thing, and especially that like it's something that takes like it takes a long time to really get a feel for it. You know what I mean? Like back then, everything is so unknown. So like, oh my God, when is somebody gonna get my song in a show? Like that's like unfathomable. You know what I mean? It's it's pretty nuts. It's pretty
Yeah, I
nuts.
know it's almost been 4 years since that cohort.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well,
Almost, yeah. By this fall, it'll be 4 years.
It's 3 years. No, 3 years. No, in this fall.
2018.
2019.
2018.
No, 19, bro.
2019 was the pandemic, so we started October.
No, the pandemic was in 2020.
I think we started October 20. You might be right. In my mind, we started our class October of 2018, and we stopped January 2019.
No, man, it was the August 2019 cohort, like October, like.
Okay, I will submit to your.
John is like, I don't even remember y'all. Like it was you're a blur of 1,000 more.
It's all blurred together.
I started teaching in the summer of 2018, so I do know that I taught like from that time, so it's possible it could have been either one. So I don't remember specifically.
And you took it on 2017,
2018.
So you took it in 2018, and then you started teaching the next class.
I started teaching in like July of 2018. So when whoever was in that group, you know.
When did you take it yourself?
There wasn't any such thing. By the way, to anybody out there who we're talking about a bunch of stuff that nobody knows about, but it's okay. We're at the end of the show. So you know what you signed up for. We didn't claim this to be any kind of professional like setup or anything like that. We're going to figure this out as we go along. We're having a little moment here where we're reminiscing about some past classes that we were all involved in at one point in the music industry, for anybody who randomly has tuned in and is wondering, what the fuck are you guys talking about? So I started teaching in 2018, and whoever was like in that group, I don't remember. It was like I think that it was maybe there was like a year-long program that they were teaching.
So you taught water pitches. You taught Pepe and Mariela. And,
I remember them all as students. I do remember that. Yeah.
Was Tamara your student, or she was your?
So here's the thing. I think Tamara was in that group that was like for a year, if I had to guess. So I was probably like, because I think there was like 3 months left of that year-long group, and I think I taught them for like 3 months, and then some folks we had an alumni program, and they stuck around. I don't think Tamara stuck around. She was ready to just rock off and do her thing, you know. So and that's what she did. But I think there was like
I keep on trying to convince her to do the Church of Bubble, and I'm already signed up for an acolyte or whatever it is, whatever position I can get in there. I'll get it. Tamara Bubble, if you're listening to this, the Church of Bubble, we've talked about this. Come on.
Stop playing.
That's funny. I just think that there were a bunch of OGs, and then going back to like, I mean, there wasn't anything called Six Figure Songwriting when I first started learning about licensing. Actually, going way back, if I had to, because I just realized this, it wasn't even Kathy Heller that I first started to learn about licensing from. There's a lady named Carrie Kimmel who runs an amazing agency called Glow Music Group, but there was a group that I used to like a production group that I used to perform, singer-songwriters. It's called Coffee House with a K in the Los Angeles area. Okay. And they would host showcases all over town. And then they did one where it was like a showcase / we were going to teach you about licensing. Carrie was going to teach you about licensing because she was killing it even back then. I think it was maybe like 2012 or something like that. It was a long time ago. Wow. But I remember we had like an hour-long workshop with her about it. And a lot of the stuff, it goes in one ear and it goes right out the other, because I was a terrible songwriter back then and all that stuff. And I honestly, like, that wasn't like, I didn't think that wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh, that's it. Like, I gotta dive all in on this and I'm going to do it. Maybe I tried to like incorporate one or two things and it didn't really work. But I mean, that's where I started. And then Kathy, I think when I started to produce, I decided I wanted to produce. I decided I wanted to really like take this songwriting stuff seriously and figure out why the fuck my songs weren't landing. And it was like right around that same time as like 2015. I think there was a workshop in the summer of 2015 that was in It was in the room 5. There's a little songwriter hang on La Brea. Place is closed now, but he played a bunch of shows there as a singer songwriter. And they were hosting a workshop. The guy who booked that venue was like, "Hey, we're going to do a one-time workshop about music licensing." And this lady, Kathy Heller, and she's had her music licensed in so-and-so, Walmart, McDonald's, blah, blah, blah. And you don't want to miss out on this. So checked it out. It was a hot day. It was middle summer, no air conditioning. They opened up the windows, but we were up there just like hearing her spit game for like an hour and a half. And that was my intro to licensing, and she taught a few other workshops in early 2016, which I took. And then, after 4 or 5 workshops with her, I just, I was just doing it. Like I was doing it. And then eventually it was like, I guess I was doing well enough that like I was offered to come in and teach, like just be a guest speaker with like whatever course they were teaching, that was like online based in, early 2018. And then I guess I did well enough that they just offered me a job. So that's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I knew that.
Yeah, that's the origin story of John the teacher. And
the origin story of like I tell you, a big section of artists working on the space now.
Yeah,
like
I'll take it. I don't like to think about like legacy or whatever, but it's like, it's cool. If I had anything to do with like some people succeeding in the music industry, that's great.
Not for you to put the list of students in your wall and jerk off to it vigorously, but to remember.
What an image, dude. Way to close out the show. Way to like vacate the room.
But to really like keep it in your mind, because honestly, like really, if you ever feeling down, if you ever feeling like, oh my God, like really do know, take it to heart that you really affected a lot of people's lives for the better. You really imparted a lot of knowledge. You really were a mentor to a lot of people that are actually making a living now off of the things that you taught. So make sure you remember that. Like I said, it's not about like, like projecting all the names in the walls and all of a sudden cutting the chickens' heads and bathing in their blood and
you were just like,
it's just so you remember that in the tough times. That's it. That's all.
I remember all that stuff, but I just want to say it's really cool too that like, after all this, you bring you on and be part of this like new cool thing that we're building, and it's like, it's just fun. I don't know. It's like it's at the end of the day, it's just like I help out the people that I can, and then it's like we become colleagues. We become colleagues in the industry. It's like, Eric, I don't know if you were doing anything that was less impressive than I was when, I was teaching you about licensing, but here we are like sharing a stage and doing cool shit together. We're starting to write together. I think it's what it's all about. It's like,
of course he was like dealing drugs or something. He couldn't have a grand piano if he did. Like, look at his house.
Eric's doing well. Eric's
get
doing
out
well
of Temptation Island. Get out of
Move to Tucson. Moving to Tucson. You're in Mexico, aren't you, bro?
Colombia and shit.
What's understood does not need to be said.
Doesn't want to watch Ozark. What's that all about?
It's too close to home.
A little too close, man. Well, this has been it's been fun. I don't know.
It's been very cool.
We're gonna figure this out for anybody who tuned in, catch the replay. We're gonna be here on Thursday nights. We're gonna be exploring this and seeing what happens with Beats and Bourbon. But this has been a really fun hang. Like, let's do it again.
Shout out to anybody who hung the whole 2 hours. We appreciate you.
Did people hung the whole 2 hours?
Cheers, y'all. Did anybody question for the chat? Did anybody here stay for the entire call? Did anybody here stay for the entire Beats and Bourbon episode? Because you are the real OG.
Exactly. And would you recommend drinking as you do this?
I think it's kind of mandatory. Like, especially if we get the graphic imagery that we got from you at the end there, you need to like have a couple.
No, we don't need that anymore.
They really like that. Hundreds of students just projected on the walls and John Kleinberg being, I am a golden god.
By the way, dude, I love your Aqua Teen Hunger Force references, and I love your It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia references. Always welcome to me. So I that landed for me.
Shout out to Kip.
Kip Johnson. Kip Johnson.
You are you're like the MVP of the night.
MVP. I don't know when Antoine's still there, but I don't know when he tuned in. So shout out to him too.
Antoine, were you here the whole time? Be honest.
Be honest.
This is actually a very good pacing for enjoying a couple of glasses of bourbon. Today's show was brought to you by Basil Haydn's, Jim Beam, and what the fuck are you drinking, Eric?
Jameson.
And Jameson. So we're gonna work on our sponsorship. So
we're looking for sponsors, everybody. So if there's any alcohol vendors who are looking,
we will drink anything.
We will drink anything. We have we'll just drink whatever you send us. So send us something good. Send us something good. Wait, if you do make bad alcohol, just send us something good, and we'll say it's your alcohol.
We'll say, good idea.
Yeah,
we're not. I already am.
We'll lie about it. We'll lie about it. We were not going to drink something if it's shitty. You know. Antoine, we appreciate you still, brother. Thanks for tuning in. This has been fun. We'll do this again next week. We're gonna be like I was saying, this is something that's just gonna be kind of ongoing on Thursday nights. So and we're gonna be bringing in some other cool people. We're gonna experiment with this thing because we're gonna figure out the format of it tonight. It's like I actually think of like the first season of Aqua Teen Hunger Force was not very good, and it's because like they were trying to figure out like what the fuck the show even was, you know?
Right.
See, but that's the thing. Art needs to be wrapped in barbed wire. That's what Picasso said. It needs to be dangerous. It needs to hurt you. It needs to make you feel alive.
I'm scared of what your ideas for future shows are going to include.
Unleashed. Come on, Unleashed.
I don't, certain artists, you don't want to just give them free reign and just tell them to do their thing. Because when they do their thing, it's like very scary.
No, it's because like I started on the space. I'm all like, hey, hi, I'm a producer, and when motherfucker gets a couple of placements, it's like I'm gonna kill you all. All right, let's go.
But at least
we will definitely do Red Bull.
At least you're blurry, so I think it's gonna be less threatening to the audience.
I'm just gonna stay blurry, I guess.
Apparently. As long as you're blurry.
Apparently, my internet is crap because it's like I don't
know. Your internet started drinking before you did.
Watch this. This thing's gonna blow up, and then you're still gonna keep it blurry, just because it's like for style or something.
I have absolutely no control over anything that happens in my life.
Just change your handle to Blurry Herman. That'll be like your stick.
We're gonna have a meme coming up really soon with your just like you in like the mist, you're in like
that's just a blurry motherfucker. Like I'm blurry anyways. I like that actually. This is too much face showing for me actually.
I want you to see
glasses and a wrestler mask and caps and hats
and then maybe someday we'll see where Eric actually is. We'll see if he's actually like guns and drugs stacked up in the back.
I may or may not be in witness protection, but I'm not saying anything.
He's like soundproofing is like.
I mean, who else moves out to Tucson for
bags and bags of cocaine? It's like, they provide very soundproofing. It's like,
dude, last time I went to Tucson, I mean, I'll just be honest. Like, I went to college there. I thought it was cool. Last time I went there as an adult, I was driving through, and I honestly thought to myself, I mean, I think it's a cool place. Like, it's like the good restaurants, everything like that. But I have to be totally honest. Just like I think I was in like the wrong headspace too. I was like, oh, it's kind of dumpy. Like just the neighborhoods. It was like and I think too it was like the college neighborhoods that I was driving around because that was like my memory of like living near the university. I lived in all those neighborhoods that had the cheap student housing like right around the university.
But they're building so much here, like.
Oh, I'm sure it's like I heard they like completely redid downtown. It's like
I don't know what it used to look like, but downtown is pretty. It's pretty awesome in a lot of.
I mean, when I was going to school there, it was like Fourth Avenue was just kind of janky and fun and not super commercial, and it was kind of dumpy. Honestly, it was like it's dumpy college town, but it was fun. Like, but now I'm sure it's like a little different vibe there. Is it like more like 3rd Street Promenade? Is it like, have they kind of redone everything?
Yeah, man. It's like there's so many cool bars and restaurants, and like it's really, it's really. I enjoy it, and it's just a great place to hang out.
Have you ever been in 118 weather before?
Not yet, but this weekend will be the first 100-degree day.
You're fine, dude. You got AC. You're fine, bro. Like, honestly, like that to me, it's like, if you don't have air conditioning, then you're going to hate your life, because then you find out what happens with evaporative cooling when it goes above 85 degrees.
Have you ever felt like your eyeballs are burning and your eyelashes are like on fire? Like, that's how it feels at 118. That's how it feels out there. That's how you're going to feel when you go out in the morning. Like,
wait, you came to Arizona in 118?
Oh yeah, bro. I love the heat. I don't run away from it. I go to it. I want to feel the sun burning me.
He wraps himself in barbed wire before he does it too.
And aluminum foil.
It's all part of Mr. Picasso's teachings.
Very dark. Very dark. There's a very dark side of you.
But I do love the heat. I'm a big fan of the desert, and I love to feel that intense like heat, like really like your eyeballs will melt. I love that. Obviously, you have to have some sort of body of water around it to really enjoy it fully. If you're all of a sudden having to like farm dong at midday or some shit like that, then you're gonna be like miserable. I actually did landscaping in Indio, California, in the desert area in the Coachella Valley in the month of August of 1998, my first month in the United States.
My God.
And it was ridiculous. It was fucking ridiculous. I did it for a couple of days, and I'm like, nah, this ain't it. I moved to Seattle. I'm like, oh, what a beautiful place! All these trees and all these things. And then 2 weeks after I got in there, it started raining for like 90 days straight. Yeah. It was nice, but yeah, man, enjoy the heat, man. Enjoy the desert, man, because the desert is beautiful.
I'm actually loving it,
dude.
I thought that was you, John.
It sounds exactly like you.
Who's you?
You, Eric. Like the sound effect. It sounds
just the sounds like me.
Yeah, it does. It does to me. To me, it sounds a little like you. It was funny. Like I was expecting to get some kind of reaction from it. I was playing around with sound effects and things like that.
No, I would have been scared if you said it wasn't you. I was like, we got a hacker already on our first show.
Right. Oh, you're going full. What's his name? Mike Lasco, the guy from Taxi.
Oh yeah, so it was mentioned in the chat that this is like Taxi happy hour. I think it's like something martini or something like that. Hap martini or what was it?
It was a quarantini hour.
Quarantini, that's what it was. Yeah, they call it like quarantini or something like that.
But because it has the sound effects on the little thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna work the sound effects in. I'm like trying to like figure this whole thing out. I don't really know it yet. I did want to say like one thing though. With the whole like it's like the heat and all that stuff. It's good to be like to put your body in like situations that it makes it uncomfortable sometimes. I think it's good for your constitution. But like I think there's like a reasonable amount with that, right? You don't want to go.
You ever fuck with the whole like shock, like temperature shock. Sorry, a therapy where you like go into like a pool of really really hot water, and then you go soak into like a pool of ice water, and then go into like a middle. Like they do that at the hammams or something. I did that in Spain one time. It's amazing. Like you go to where your body is like so hot that it can be any hotter. And then you go soak yourself into like ice cold water, and supposedly it actually activates your immune system and it freezes your balls and all this shit. Like it's really great. It's just a great experience. You should try
it. Freezes your balls.
That was legitness.
That is funny.
There's some pretty good ones in here.
Yes.
You remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard that made it popular back on the early 2000s? It was all these Arnold Schwarzenegger lines from his movies, and like, get to the
Okay.
chopper, or like,
Yeah.
who's your daddy and what does he do? You know, like that kind of shit. It was very popular, man.
There's definitely going to be some type of inappropriate moment that comes up at some point where it's like,
That is great.
Anyways, I'm getting kind of loopy. It's getting kind of late. This has
I
been
go-
great, guys.
This has been
That's it,
awesome.
man. I enjoyed it, man.
I'm
I
looking forward to
enjoyed
the
it
next
greatly.
one.
Yeah, we're gonna do this again next Thursday. Tune in, and also we're gonna get the whole like tipping thing figured out. If you'd like to ask us questions and stuff, like you can, you know, throw us a bone.
You
and
like
or
to
just-
throw us money like the whores we are.
I think there's actually a way for us to get like notifications too if we get follows and subscribes and stuff like that. And I'll see what I can do to figure out like how we can make that happen like on the stream, because I think it's possible.
One time I went on tour
Yeah.
to a very early strip club show, and it was a very old stripper that you know, you had a little bar next to next to the stage, so you were sitting there with your beer, and she will come. She was well in her mid-50s. She had some experience, and you will put your dollar bills at the bar, and she will come and flop her tits on top of the dollar bills and pick him up like that, and then just walk around with them hanging.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we're gonna do with the tipping jar.
That's not what I'm gonna do, but you know, we're happy to like entertain any funny questions or comments that people have and all that stuff. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna turn off this microphone now.
Yeah, you're done. You're done, son.
You drink limit for Herman.
That's it. Yeah, I made it.
Dude, we did it. We did it, guys. And
Very
Sonnet,
dope.
thanks for hopping on earlier, Sonnet. High
Shout out to
fives.
Sonnet.
Yeah, and we're gonna be bringing in some other folks too. We're gonna be just figuring out like what's a cool lineup, and just like we're bringing guests too, just for a week. You know, just figure this thing out. We don't know what it is yet. We're glad you tuned in. If you caught the replay, thanks for doing that, and we'll see you next time. All right, catch you later.
Peace and love.
Yes.